Some of the greatest seducers, male and female, were not good looking at all. It's about psychology and it's about how you carry yourself. The one thing about words, unfortunately, is people can lie. They can say whatever they want. They can say, I love your screenplay. That was fantastic. They can say anything to please, to flatter, to cajole you. But body language, man, it doesn't lie. Knowing the difference between a fake and a real smile is really important in seduction, in business, or whatever. Real confidence comes from actual actions, from your actual things you've accomplished, right? So, when you're 22, 21, it's hard to have that confidence because what is it based on? Okay, maybe you're really good looking if you happen to have that good fortune and you can feel confident about that and you don't have to try so hard. All right, maybe that might work. Or maybe you're really good at sports, or maybe you're a really good dancer, or you're a really great singer, but it's based on something real. You have a skill. You have something that separates you. You have something that you can do, that you can accomplish. Because when you're 21, it's hard to have those. I look back on myself when I was that age. I had nothing. No wonder I got rejected, It comes from what you do in life, okay? The finest sense of confidence is actually creating things and having success and meeting goals and achieving things and having a record of that, and maybe what goes with that is having some money, but it's not necessarily, because you don't have to have a lot of money and you don't have to be good looking to seduce. That's a myth that I try to explode in the art of seduction. Some of the greatest seducers, male and female, were not good looking at all. It's about psychology and it's about how you carry yourself. But the confidence comes from actually what you can do, not how you feel or what you say, but the feeling is based on things that you actually can do, skills that you have that separate you, that make you feel really confident. Children are incredibly adept at picking up body language. So if someone is fake, if someone's an imposter, they hate being around children because children see through you like radar, right? Because they're so attuned to it. You had that skill when you were very young, but you lost it because you became so oriented with words and you became so self-absorbed that you're not paying attention. But it's extremely important. The whole body is involved in it. So you've got to first stop thinking about people's words so much. Because the one thing about words, unfortunately, is people can lie. They can say whatever they want. They can say, I love your screenplay. That was fantastic. You were great in that movie. I thought you were great, etc., etc. They can say anything to please, to flatter, to cajole you. But body language, man, it doesn't lie, right? The fake smile is something you see every single day, but you're not paying attention. It's like, it's kind of tight, right? But a real smile, the whole face gets animated and there's a little crinkly thing here as it lights up and your eyes light up. It's hard to even put into words, but it's there. You can see it. It's real. It's not faked. Knowing the difference between a fake and a real smile is really important in seduction, in business, or whatever. You master that language, you can start deciphering all this bullshit people are giving you. The face, you can disguise it a little bit. Actors know that. But you know what you can't fake? It's your voice. If you're nervous, not even the finest actors in the world can fake that. Your voice betrays so many things about you. It betrays your weakness. It betrays your lack of confidence, or it betrays the other quality, etc., right? So pay really attention to the tone of people's voices, to how fast they talk. People who talk fast are very nervous. You talk slowly, you have a certain tone, you have a certain intonation that kind of reveals confidence, okay? Body language, posture. When you go and look at a meeting of people in a business meeting, you'll see all the employees kind of leaning forward, nervous, and you'll see the boss kind of leaning back, arms crossed like this, I'm the powerful one, you come to me. Body language reveals a lot about leadership qualities. If you feel confident, if you feel secure, if you're not all inward and insecure and worried about yourself, it will naturally radiate through your gestures. Yeah, you don't have to sit there and pay attention to your fingers, your arm, your ears, your eyes. It's just there. It's natural. So the two parts of the game, it's your own body language. Be aware that people are judging you for that. be monitoring everything, or you'll drive yourself crazy and you'll look very weird, right? So the best solution is to feel these certain things that are going to radiate and just show it and show your emotion that way. And the other side, really important, is learning other people's body language. And that can come from study and is much more a logical thing than constantly thinking about everything that you do. Being able to be good with people is extremely important as a social animal. But perhaps higher up in the hierarchy is being able to do things, to be able to have great skill and to be able to create something and know how to master a subject and to, build something that can last. That's really important. It takes time. It takes repetition to build those pathways. If you're someone who's so locked into the internet, to getting things instantly, you can't get past 100 hours, let alone 10,000. You're never going to develop skill, and you're going to find life really, really difficult for you. Because if you think about it, passion, to succeed at anything requires time and effort and boredom and tedium. So you want to discover what you were meant to, what you have a connection to, what you have a love for, right? When you're a child, hopefully, or when you're 18 or 19 or 20, that's the best time to discover it. All right? And it doesn't have to be something highfalutin, intellectual. You could be great with your hands. You could be great with your body. You could be great with images and visuals. You could be great with words. You could be great in many different areas. Okay? They're all equal. They're all great. You feel it. You feel this connection. All right, now you fast forward to when you're 18 or 19 years old and you're having to make a career choice. I call that your 20s, the most important phase of your life. That's going to make or break you in some way. If you spend your 20s trying to learn skill in something that it connects to you deeply, then things are going to happen to you by the time you reach 30. You've discovered your life's task. It may not be something so specific, but you know it gives you a direction, and you try and you try and try, and you know that's what you were meant for. That's what you were destined for. You feel connected to it. You feel a love for it. And so when it comes time to do the tedious stuff, you're able to do it because you know in the end it'll pay rewards. You'll get better and better at it. And the connection is so deep that to not do it would be miserable. You can't think of everything in life having to be pleasurable and having to be passionate. There's going to be boredom. There's going to be tedium. How do I deal with it? You have to feel a greater love than just mere pleasure or passion. It's got to be something so deep within you that to not do it will make you deeply unhappy. For me, not to write or be a writer, I don't think I'd be alive right now. I would have been so miserable. I would have been so alienated from who I am. So that's what will get you through. That's what a life's task is.
You want to keep seducing the person that you're in a relationship with. You can't do it with the same intensity or it would get tiring for both of you, right? Because we do want to settle into a relationship. We do want a degree of familiarity with the other person. We do want to feel comfortable. But upon occasion, you have to go back to those original moments that sparked your desire for the other person, that made that connection so electrifying between you. And you need to revive it. And you need to do some of the things that you did before. Surprise them with a gift that says something personal about them, or take them to some place that they're not expecting, to keep surprising them. Because once the mystery is gone, once people are so familiar to you, there's something that's lost in there, And so it's not that you're constantly seducing them. I don't think that's even possible. It's that you don't lose the sense of the fact that you have to think about the other person and their spirit and do things that continually surprise and excite them. I don't think there's anything amoral or wrong about that. I think it's very healthy. The rake is a man who has an intense interest in women. He understands them deeply. He's obsessed with women. And perhaps it comes from something relationship going with his mother. He has this obsessive interest in them. He understands their spirit. He finds it very exciting to be around them. But one woman can never satisfy him. The only way he can get satisfaction is by constantly having new women in his life. That's how he satisfies this hunger, because the moment that a woman becomes familiar, it kind of loses the edge that he wants. He's kind of like a hunter. He loves the process of hunting the woman, of seducing her, of getting her to fall for him. And in those first few weeks, he showers her with attention. That's his power. He love bombs them. He's so excited about their world. He gives them gifts that show he's thinking about them. He takes them to exciting places. It's irresistible. But the thing is, it can't last because he has to continually spread the wealth. He has to continually find new people to conquer. So that's sort of what a rake is. And if you're too obvious in your seductive techniques, if you've read Robert Brooks' The Art of Seduction and you try to apply A, B, and C to a man or a woman, it's not good. It's going to fail because it looks too cold and calculating. But if you see this natural quality in you, if you know that you're a coquette by nature, somebody who blows hot and cold, and you know how to bring it out and make it more conscious and aware and put a little more emphasis on it, you're seducing without appearing unnatural. You're seducing without appearing like it's forced. Mm-hmm. It just comes from your personality. And that kind of makes it doubly effective. And although we traditionally associate the coquette with women, there are plenty of male coquettes out there. And the idea is you know how to be hot. In other words, to be excited by that other person, to send them looks that show that you're interested in them, to do things that show that you're interested. And once they take a step towards you, you now take a step back and you blow kind of cold and you're not so attentive and you don't return their texts right away and you don't return their phone calls. And they start wondering, he or she was really into me, but now they don't seem to be so into me. Is it my fault? Did I do something wrong? I better try even harder to get their attention. So you chase them, and then maybe they get hot again and they excite you because they have to keep the flame flickering. Otherwise it'll die out. And then they step back. They blow hot and they blow cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. And it's devilishly seductive. And once you think that you have to try harder to seduce them, you are the one who's completely seduced. So it's the classic hard to get. But if you're always hard to get, then nothing will happen. You know, have to occasionally mix in the easy to get with the hard to get. Well, the natural, these are people, they don't seem infantile, but they've grown up and they've retained a lot of the child within them. They seem to have that kind of impish, mischievous quality of a child. They don't seem to be trying to put something on. They're just authentically who they are. They're naturally spontaneous. They're naturally funny. Sometimes they may say something that will offend, like children will do, right? But they're very charming in the fact that they don't seem to be trying, that they're so authentic. You know, the reason it's so seductive is it doesn't seem like a put on. And so there is an element of calculation behind it. You kind of know that spontaneity, that childlike quality is very seductive, very alluring to people. So you're going to kind of give it a little extra sometimes. You're aware of it and you kind of act a little stronger in that direction. You have to be able to get outside of yourself. So in this sense, seducing is very healthy. It means that normally where a lot of men go wrong in particular is they're thinking about themselves all the time. They're thinking, does she really like me? Am I really saying the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? I've got to try really hard to make sure that she actually likes me. And they're inside their own thoughts and their own world. And what they need to do instead, and this applies to women as well, is get inside the other person's world. That's the key to seducing them, to understand Michaela, her childhood, her needs, what she has and what she lacks in life, her weaknesses, her vulnerabilities, what will put a smile on her face, what will excite her. And so when you have that philosophy, you listen in a different way. You're listening to them with this kind of focus where you're picking up little cues that they say of things that excite them or repulse them, and you're kind of remembering them. And then later, days later, you say something that relates to something that they had expressed, and it reveals how deeply you were listening, and it's very seductive. Or you give them a gift that isn't necessarily expensive, but is tailored to something that they had said, some nuance that they had revealed in their conversation. It seems very personal. So getting outside of yourself and getting into the spirit of the other person is probably the most important thing of all. The second one, which is related to the first one, is to lose your defensiveness, to lose your defensive qualities, to be open to the other person, to being vulnerable to the other person. You know, a lot of people now in the world today are very defensive, and for good reason, because our lives are so stressful. We have so many things in our face, so many people bothering us, etc. And we kind of get really rigid and tight and defensive, and you can even physically locate it in our chest areas, etc. And the idea of being vulnerable, of opening up to another person, allowing them to have power over us, is actually frightening for a lot of people. But it's unnatural. It's not human, because we have a tremendous need to feel vulnerable, to feel open to the influence of another person, to have that electrical current going back and forth. And it stems from our childhood, where we were so vulnerable to the spirit of our father or our mother, and it delighted us, right? There was a kind of bond between us, like between a mother, that transcends, you're almost a part of her in some way. And so that need to feel connected and to feel vulnerable is very human. And what happens with a lot of people is, as they get older and they accumulate pain and hurts from broken relationships, is they don't want to be vulnerable anymore, because they don't want to have to go through that. But that means that the person that broke your heart, that made you vulnerable, has won, has defeated you, has made you turn into something that you don't want to become. So you have to be able to feel that you can be vulnerable. And if you're a seducer trying to seduce someone, revealing to that other person that you have fallen under their spell is almost the most seductive thing you can do.